5 signs you're truly seeking God's kingdom first, not just His blessings. I once knew a woman who had served faithfully in her church for many years. She was always the first person to arrive, the last to leave, quietly carrying responsibilities most people never noticed. No platform, no spotlight, no applause, just steady, unseen dedication. One Sunday, the church celebrated a young volunteer who had joined only a few months earlier. The congregation cheered for him, and she smiled along with everyone else. But that night, while praying alone, she finally let the emotion she'd been holding inside surface. Through tears, she whispered, "Lord, what about me? When will my turn come?" That question wasn't a sign of failure. It was an honest moment where the heart reveals what it's been carrying, a moment every believer experiences at some point. And in moments like these, God doesn't scold us. He gently redirects us. You discover the real condition of your heart when God blesses someone else before He blesses you. That realization isn't meant to burden us. It's meant to awaken us. It's God's quiet way of reminding us what truly matters. Seeking His kingdom first, not the applause, not the reward, not the extras we hope will come. In this message, we'll look at 5 clear signs that your heart is genuinely pursuing God's kingdom above everything else. Not as a warning, but as an invitation into a lighter, freer life with God, where your heart rests in Him before anything He gives. Part 1. A true disciple seeks God before the things he adds. One of the strongest signs that we're putting God's kingdom first is this. We care more about saying yes to God than ensuring a certain outcome for ourselves. A true disciple isn't the most gifted person in the room or the one with the biggest personality. It's the person whose heart says, "Lord, if this is where you want me, then this is where I want to be," even when the details aren't clear. I once spoke with a believer who worked in healthcare. Every few years, her hospital opened new positions with better pay, more influence, and more visibility. Most people rush to polish their resumes and compete for the opportunity. She told me, "I only apply when I feel God's peace, not just because it looks like a promotion. I want any advancement in my life to come from His timing, not from my striving." She still worked hard and prepared well. But her first question wasn't, "Will this make me more successful?" Her first question was, "Is this where God wants me right now?" That is what it means to have a yes ready for God, even before you see the whole picture. Not a blind yes, but a trusting one. A yes that believes God understands your future far better than you ever could. A yes that rests in the truth that His timing, His doors, and even His delays carry more wisdom than any plan you could create. Let me ask you, when you pray, what rises first in your heart? The answer you want, or the presence of the one you're speaking to? There is nothing wrong with asking God to provide, to open doors, or to guide your steps. He invites us to bring those requests. But when His kingdom truly comes first, something shifts in our prayers. Instead of saying, "Lord, just make this work," we begin to pray, "Lord, lead me in a way that honors you, even if it looks different from what I imagined." Think back to a time you sensed God nudging you towards something uncomfortable or unexpected. Maybe it meant staying in a place where no one saw your effort. Maybe it meant stepping out even though you felt unprepared. Our circumstances differ, but the invitation is the same: to trust God enough to obey now and understand later. Jesus sums this up in Matthew 6, verse 33. "Seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be added to you." When that verse becomes part of our everyday decisions, something powerful happens. We stop chasing the added things and trying to squeeze God into our plans. Instead, we pursue Him first and let everything else fall into place under His direction. A true disciple can whisper in their heart, "Lord, my job is to follow. Yours is to arrange what comes next." That kind of trust doesn't erase every hardship, but it steadies the inner life. It frees us from the pressure of controlling every outcome and grounds us in something stronger, walking daily with the King whose kingdom we seek first. Part 2. When God lifts someone else first, your heart is revealed. One of the most surprising tests in the Christian walk isn't what happens to us. It's what happens around us, especially when God blesses, promotes, or highlights someone else long before anything changes for us. It's a quiet test, but a real one, and it often uncovers things we didn't know were hidden inside our faith. I once spoke with a young worship musician who had served faithfully behind the scenes for years. He practiced hard, showed up early, stayed late, and carried a humble spirit. Then one day, the leadership brought in a new volunteer, someone very new to the church, directly onto the main team. The young man congratulated him warmly, helped him learn the songs, and encouraged him sincerely. But later that night he told me, "I didn't realize how much I wanted that role until I saw someone else get it first. Maybe God is teaching me to stay steady even when the spotlight isn't on me." There was no resentment in his words, just honest reflection, and that honesty became a doorway for God to deepen his character. Sometimes God allows moments like this not to shame us, but to refine us, to reveal where our motives still attached to outcomes instead of resting in him. And we all encounter these moments. A co-worker receives a promotion you quietly hoped for. A family member's prayer is answered while yours waits. Someone younger in the faith seems to grow faster than you. The human heart can't help but whisper, "Lord, why not me?" But the beautiful part is this: God doesn't rebuke us for question. Instead, he uses it to gently show us what he wants to strengthen within us. I once heard a pastor say, when God lifts someone else first, it's never proof that he has forgotten you. It's not proof that God has forgotten you. It's proof that he's still moving in the room, and your part is to trust the timing he has chosen for your life. That simple shift in perspective changes everything. It pulls your eyes away from comparison and brings you back to your calling. It reminds you that someone else rising is not a threat to your story. It's simply God unfolding a different chapter for them than the one he's writing for you. Take a moment and ask yourself honestly, how do you respond when another person is celebrated, promoted, or blessed? Do you shrink inside? Do you start pushing yourself harder just to be seen? Or can you whisper, "Lord, thank you for what you're doing in their life, and thank you for what you're preparing in mine"? When God's kingdom is truly first, another person's blessing becomes encouragement, not competition. Their breakthrough becomes evidence that God is still working, not a signal that he has passed you over. And your heart becomes free, free to rejoice with them, free to stay faithful in your own assignment, free to believe that the God who lifts others will lift you too, at the right time, in the right way, for the right reason. Part 3. The cross frees your heart from motives that don't belong to you. When Jesus spoke of carrying our cross, he wasn't inviting us into misery. He was inviting us into freedom. Freedom from the impulses, reactions, and inner pressures that quietly rob us of peace. The cross is not about punishment. It's about alignment. It's the place where old instincts lose their power, and our hearts learn to move in rhythm with God instead of being dragged by our emotions. A friend once told me about a season when he was publicly misunderstood. His first impulse was to defend himself, explain everything, and clear his name. But as he prayed, he sensed the Lord leading him in a quieter, gentler direction. "Let me handle this. You stay steady." He told me. Every part of me wanted to react. But when I paused and surrendered that impulse, something changed inside me. What I assumed was weakness actually became strength. It felt like the cross wasn't taking something away. It was giving me back my peace. That's often how the cross appears in everyday life. It shows up in simple moments. When you want to win an argument, but God nudges you to listen. When you want to prove you're right, but the Spirit whispers that humility will say more than words. When you want to pull away from someone who hurt you, but God starts building compassion instead. None of these moments look dramatic on the outside, yet inside they shape us profoundly. They loosen our grip on control. They create room for God to shape his character within us. Taking up your cross doesn't mean losing who you are. It means laying down what you were never meant to carry. It releases you from the pressure of managing every outcome. It teaches you to trust God with the things that once consumed your thoughts. The cross softens the hard places, calms the restless places, and brings clarity where confusion once lived. One believer told me, "I used to think the cross would crush me. Now I'm realizing it's where God rebuilds me, stronger, steadier, more rooted in Him." This is why Jesus said in Matthew 10, verses 38 to 39, that whoever loses their life for His sake will find it. Jesus wasn't saying our identity disappears. He was saying our truest self emerges when old patterns fall away. The cross frees us from reacting out of fear, pride, or insecurity and leads us into a life where our responses are shaped by wisdom, patience, and love. In that transformation, we carry God's presence with a quiet strength that doesn't need applause or validation. As you reflect on your journey, ask yourself, where is God inviting you to let go of an old reaction so He can replace it with something better? Where is He asking you to trust Him enough to release your need to control the story? The cross isn't meant to diminish you. It's meant to lift you into a life that increasingly reflects Jesus. Steady, wholehearted, and free. Part 4. Choosing cross. Trusting God with the outcome. When we choose the cross, God takes responsibility for what belongs to Him. A quiet strength rises in a believer who no longer feels compelled to chase every opportunity or defend every position. Something settles inside when we recognize our part is obedience, and God's part is the outcome. Our part is faithfulness. His part is timing. Our part is the cross, and His part is a reward. When these roles stay in their proper order, peace becomes natural. I once met an engineer who shared a story that has stayed with me for years. His company launched a new division, and everyone assumed he would lead it. Seniority, experience, and trust all pointed to him. But when the announcement came, the position went someone else, younger, newer, less experienced. He congratulated the person sincerely. Later, on the drive home, he prayed, "Lord, if this isn't my door, I won't force it. But if you still have a place for me, I will wait for it." He continued his work with excellence, no bitterness, no campaigning. Then, unexpectedly, the person who received the role stepped down for personal reasons. Leadership returned to him, not only offering the original role, but expanding it and increasing the package. He said, "If I had forced it, I probably would have held it with fear and anxiety. But when it came from God, it fit perfectly and I could receive it in peace." Many believers learn this truth over time. Blessings we fight for with our own strength must be defended with our own energy. But blessings from God come carried by His strength. No striving, no pressure, no need to prove anything. This principle appears in countless ways. A relationship we push never brings rest. The one God orchestrates feels natural. A door we force never feels secure. The one He opens carries grace. Opportunities we scramble for drain us. Those He entrusts bring peace that confirms they're truly ours. Pause for a moment. Is there something you're holding on to through sheer effort, a role, a plan, a relationship, that God is inviting you to release? The cross invites us to loosen our grip, so God can take His rightful place as keeper, not to leave us empty-handed, but to make our hands free to receive what He has chosen, without fear. When God is the one who lifts you, no one can unseat you. When He opens a door, no one can close it. And when He adds to your life, you can enjoy the blessing without being enslaved to it. That's the beauty of seeking the kingdom first. Your heart stays grounded, your hands remain open, and everything that comes carries the peace of God's timing. Part 5. When the kingdom comes first, your prayers begin to reflect God's heart. One of the most beautiful signs of seeking God's kingdom above all else is the quiet transformation in our prayers. It's subtle, almost like the soul turning toward a brighter light. When God becomes our first desire, our prayers stop being shaped by fear, comparison, or pressure. They begin to flow from a deeper place, a place where our will gradually aligns with His. I spoke with a woman who described how her prayer life had changed over the years. She said, "I used to pray mostly for solutions. Fix this, open that, move here. But over time, without forcing it, my prayers started to sound more like, "Lord, shape my heart so I can follow you." When answers came, it felt like a weight had lifted. Not because life became easier, but because her prayers were no longer reactive or pressured. When the kingdom comes first, our prayers and actions begin as a response to God's presence. We start caring less about how quickly things happen, and more about who we are becoming as they unfold. Prayer shifts from anxious pleas, "Lord, make this happen my way," to peaceful surrender. "Lord, prepare me for whatever you're arranging." Even a small shift like this opens a door to clarity, stability, and a deeper sense of belonging in God's plan. Jesus spoke about this in John 15, verses 7-8. If we remain in him and his words remain in us, our prayers bear fruit. Not because we manipulate outcomes, but because staying close to him changes what we desire. It purifies our motives, refines our longings, and teaches us to ask not from fear or pressure, but from trust. Trusting that we are loved, guided, and held. Think of it like a device. It doesn't generate power on its own. Connected to the right source, it functions as it was designed. Spiritually, the same is true. When our hearts stay connected to Jesus, our prayers naturally carry his tone, wisdom, and peace. We don't have to force words. Our requests flow from the place where he lives within us. And as we stay connected, our prayers begin to align with God's timing. Instead of saying, "Lord, open any door," we begin to pray, "Lord, open the right door and prepare me to walk through it well." Instead of seeking success for security, we ask for strength to honor him in whatever success he allows. Instead of demanding immediate change, we trust that God is forming something valuable in the waiting. When the kingdom is first, prayer shifts from escaping pressure to embracing purpose. It becomes less about shaping life to our desires and more about letting God shape us for his calling. In this place, prayer transforms from a checklist of requests into a conversation of partnership. Our hearts take on the tone of heaven, and our desires begin to echo God's desires. This is one of the clearest signs that the kingdom truly comes first in us. Our prayers no longer chase blessings. They reflect the wisdom, beauty, and steadiness of a heart learning to walk with God. Step by step, thought by thought, desire by desire, our wishes begin to harmonize. Conclusion: seeking God's kingdom first isn't a heavy burden or a daunting task. It's far kinder, lighter, and more freeing than we imagine. God isn't trying to take anything from us. He's aligning our hearts so we can receive his gift without fear, striving, or losing peace along the way. Everything we've explored, choosing a quiet yes, celebrating others, embracing the cross, trusting God with outcomes, and praying from connection, points to one simple truth. The kingdom comes first when the king comes first. When the king comes first, everything else falls into place. Not rushed, not forced, not earned by effort, but beautifully shaped by his timing and love. Remember, blessings are wonderful, but they are gifts, not anchors. They are invitations, not identities. The safest, strongest, and most life-giving place to stand is in the center of God's with a heart that says, "Lord, whatever you want, you have my yes." If anything in your life, a fear, a desire, a plan, or even a blessing, has become louder than that yes, consider this a gentle invitation to place it back in God's hands. Not to lose it, but to hold it rightly. Not to push it away, but to free your heart from needing it more than you need him. When your yes is clear, God ensures that all else comes in ways that bless you, steady you, and never pull you away from him. When he adds something to your life, no one can take it, no season can erase it, and no circumstance can undo the purpose behind it. May your heart stay light, your steps steady, and your yes remain pure. Seek his kingdom first, and trust that everything else will arrive exactly when it's meant to.